Ever wake up to a quiet ache, another day blurring into the last, your goals a faint echo, your spark buried under "I'll get to it" promises that never stick? You're not living, you're lingering, caught in a loop of half-tries and heavy sighs, watching time slip while the you could be fades into maybe later. What if these next 6 months aren't just another stretch? What if they're the hinge that swings your life from stuck to stunning, with a plan so sharp and a stoic fire so fierce you can't look back? Here's the spark. 6 months is your sweet spot. Not too short to miss the mark, not too long to lose the fire, and Stoicism lights the fuse. You've been told change takes years, that you're stuck where you stand. But what if half a year, with clear steps and ancient grit, could reshape you from root to rise? It's not luck or magic. It's clarity, action, and owning what you can control. A stoic edge that says you don't wait for the world, you forge your own. Marcus Aurelius cut it deep. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your next 6 months could be your rewrite, if you start now. We're laying out 12 dead-on steps, a 6-month success plan steeped in Stoicism, to flip your life from drift to drive, blending psychology's sharp tools with timeless wisdom that's carried the steady through storms. If you're done with someday and ready to stand taller, hit like, share this with someone stuck in neutral, sub to Victory Stoic to fuel your stoic surge, and drop "I begin today" in the comments. Then tell us, what's one thing you'd change in 6 months? Your life's not set, let's transform it, step by stoic step. Number 1, 6 months is your sweet spot. Ever kicked off a change, a new habit, a big dream, only to fizzle out in days, thinking a week's too tight to matter? Or stall out years later, lost in someday fog? You rush or you roam, stuck between too little and too long, chasing quick wins that fade fast or grand plans that drift forever. Not failing but flailing, caught in a loop where time either squeezes you dry or stretches you thin. 6 months isn't just a number, it's your Goldilocks zone. Long enough to see the fruit, short enough to seize the chance, a stoic window where steady steps turn shadows into shape. Take Priya, 28. A clerk, she'd try a fix every Monday. "I'll get fit," she'd vow, jogging once then slumping. A week's too short, she'd sigh, her sneakers gathering dust by Friday, her spark snuffed before it caught. She wasn't weak, her window was. Or see Tom, 45, a salesman, he'd dream big, vague. "I'll climb the ladder," he'd muse, plotting a decade's rise, but years blurred, calls lagged, his goal a ghost in the grind, too vast to grip. He didn't stall from aim, his arc stretched too far. Here's the gentle glow. 6 months is your sweet spot. Not a sprint, not a sprawl, a stretch psychology pins as prime. Long enough for roots, brief enough for reach. It's like planting a seed, not a day's sprout, not a decade's oak, but a half-year bloom you can hold. Priya's not trapped by time, her haste traps her. Tom's not lost to goals, his haze loses him. You're not stuck till you skip the slot, and 6 months threads the needle. Results you see, chances you grab. The Stoics saw it. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." Days won't rush you, years won't waste you. 6 months fits your will just right. This is the quiet nudge. Too short misses the mark, too long muffles the fire. 6 months strikes the spark. Priya's runs didn't fail, her dash did. Tom's climb didn't flop, his drift did. You're not late till you leap or lag, and this plan paces your power. It's not about speed or scale, it's about seizing the slot where change sticks. Here's the easy start. Frame your 6 months now. Priya swapped "I'll try" for "I'll pace." Walked thrice a week, tracked her miles, felt her stride by month's end. Tom traded someday for 6, called 5 leads daily, logged his wins, saw his rank tick up. When the itch to rush or roam stirs, pause. Ask, "Does this fit my 6? Say it calm, "I'll grow steady." And picture the stretch as a bridge, not a blur. No race needed, just one clear mark, and you're on. Priya's legs hum now, Tom's ladder leans true. 6 months isn't a wait, it's your win, stoic and sure. Number 2, identify what you can control. The stoic way to focus your energy. One of the biggest reasons people fail to transform their lives is because they spend too much energy worrying about things outside their control. They stress over the economy, complain about unfair situations, dwell on other people's opinions, and waste hours replaying past mistakes. But here's the harsh truth. None of that is within your power. The more time you spend on things you can't change, the less energy you have for what actually matters. Think about Jake, who spends his days obsessing over why his boss never recognizes his work, why the dating scene is unfair, and why life just doesn't seem to give him a break. He scrolls through social media, comparing himself to others, feeling frustrated at everything he can't control. Then there's Adam, who faces the same challenges but follows a different approach. He identifies what is within his control: his work ethic, his personal growth, his attitude. Instead of worrying about recognition, he focuses on delivering results. Instead of blaming the dating scene, he works on his communication skills and confidence. Instead of wasting time on comparisons, he uses social media to learn new skills and build his future. 6 months later, Jake is still stuck, while Adam has transformed his life simply by shifting his focus. The Stoic rule: master your response, ignore the rest. Epictetus said, "Some things are within our control, others are not. Confusing the two leads to suffering." This simple yet powerful idea is at the core of Stoicism. The only things you control are your thoughts, your actions, and your mindset. Everything else, other people, the past, the economy, external events, is beyond your reach. Learning to separate what you can and cannot change is the first step to mental clarity and true self-mastery. Psychologists refer to this as locus of control. People with an internal locus of control, who focus on their own actions, are more resilient, successful, and mentally strong. Those with an external locus of control, who blame circumstances or others, tend to feel stuck, anxious, and powerless. Your life is determined by where you direct your focus. Your 6-month challenge: shift your focus to what matters. For the next 6 months, start catching yourself when you waste energy on things outside your control. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I do about it?" If something is beyond your influence, let it go. Redirect all that mental power into what you can change: your habits, your discipline, your growth. Every time you shift your focus to action instead of complaint, you reclaim control over your life. 6 months of this mindset shift will make you unshakable. The world will remain chaotic, but you will no longer be controlled by it. Number 3. Set clear goals for 6 months. Make them challenging but simple. The biggest mistake people make when trying to change their lives is setting vague, unrealistic goals. They say things like, "I want to be successful," "I want to be healthier," or "I want to be happier." But these goals are so broad that they mean nothing. 6 months pass and nothing changes, because there was no clear target to work toward. If you don't know exactly what you're aiming for, how will you ever hit the mark? Take David, for example. Every January, he tells himself that this will be the year he gets in shape. He starts going to the gym inconsistently, sometimes eating healthy, sometimes not, and a few months later, he's back to where he started. Why? Because get in shape is not a goal, it's an idea. Now look at Sarah, who takes a different approach. Instead of a vague resolution, she sets a clear, specific, and slightly challenging goal. Lose 10 pounds in 6 months by going to the gym 3 times a week and cutting out sugar. That's measurable, that's achievable, that's simple, yet effective. 6 months later, David is frustrated, while Sarah is seeing results, not because she worked harder, but because she worked smarter. The key to setting goals that actually work is clarity. Your brain needs a specific destination to focus on. Studies in psychology show that people who write down their goals with precise details are significantly more likely to achieve them than those who keep their goals abstract. But there's another key: simplicity. If you try to change too many things at once, you'll get overwhelmed and quit. The goal is to pick 1 or 2 meaningful things that will genuinely improve your life, define them clearly, and commit to them fully. So instead of saying, "I want to be more disciplined," say, "I will wake up at 6 a.m. every day for 6 months. Instead of "I want to learn more," say, "I will read 1 book per month for the next 6 months. Instead of "I want to start a business," say, "I will launch my first product in 6 months, even if it's small." The simpler the goal, the easier it is to stay focused and take consistent action. 6 months is not a long time, but it's enough to completely change your life if you choose a clear target and stay committed. So what's your one goal for the next 6 months? Write it down, make it specific, and start today. Number 4, Build your life philosophy. Define the rules you live by. Most people drift through life without a guiding philosophy. They react to problems instead of preparing for them, change their opinions based on emotions, and let external events dictate their mood and actions. But without a solid life philosophy, you are like a ship without a rudder, constantly pushed in different directions by the waves of circumstance. Now imagine two men, Daniel and Lucas. Daniel wakes up every day unsure of what he stands for. If someone disrespects him, he reacts with anger. If things don't go his way, he complains. If he faces difficulty, he doubts himself. Every day is a battle between his emotions and his circumstances. Meanwhile, Lucas has built a personal philosophy based on Stoic principles. He does not waste energy on what he can't control. He sees challenges as opportunities for growth, and he values discipline over fleeting emotions. When problems arise, he already knows how to respond because he has a framework for life. While Daniel feels lost, Lucas moves with clarity. Why you need a personal philosophy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Your life philosophy is the set of principles that define who you are and how you handle life. It is your personal code of conduct, a set of rules that guide your decisions, behaviors, and mindset no matter what happens. How to build your own philosophy. 1. Decide what you stand for. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? What are my core values? Strength, discipline, honesty, self-reliance? Write them down. 2. Define your non-negotiables. What are the principles you refuse to compromise on? Maybe it's never complaining, always taking responsibility, or never letting emotions control your actions. 3. Simplify your decision-making. A strong philosophy makes choices easier. If your rule is, I don't waste time on things I can't control, then the next time someone insults you, you don't waste energy being upset, you move on. 4. Live by it every day. A philosophy is useless if it only exists in theory. Challenge yourself. Every action, every decision, does it align with the person you want to be? 6 months to a stronger you. If you spend the next 6 months consciously living by a set of principles, you will become unshakable. Life will throw obstacles your way, but you will not be controlled by circumstances. You will be guided by your own philosophy, and once you have that, nothing can break you. Number 5. Raise your personal standards. The level you accept is the level you live at. Your life is a reflection of the standards you set for yourself. If you tolerate mediocrity, you will live a mediocre life. If you accept half-hearted effort, you will receive half-hearted results. The uncomfortable truth is that no one rises above their own expectations. You don't get what you want, you get what you are willing to demand from yourself. Think about Oliver. He always dreamed of being in better shape, but his workouts were inconsistent, and his diet was whatever was convenient. He told himself he wanted to be fit, but his standards for effort were low. He only exercised when he felt like it, cheated on his diet often, and settled for being okay, rather than truly disciplined. One day he met a colleague, Jacob, who was in peak physical condition. When Oliver asked how he stayed so fit, Jacob's response was simple. I don't negotiate with myself. I set a standard and I follow it, whether I feel like it or not. That moment was a wake-up call. Oliver realized that Jacob wasn't more gifted, more lucky, or even more motivated. He just had higher standards. He expected more from himself, and so his results reflected that. Raising your standards isn't about being perfect. It's about refusing to settle for anything less than your best effort. It's deciding that if you say you're going to wake up early, you don't hit snooze. If you commit to working out, you don't make excuses. If you want better relationships, you don't tolerate disrespect. The small choices you make every day define the person you become. Psychologists call this the Pygmalion effect, the phenomenon where higher expectations lead to higher performance. Studies show that when people set and commit to higher standards, they naturally perform at a higher level. It's not just about skill, it's about what you are willing to accept from yourself. If you expect more, you will achieve more. If you hold yourself to a higher standard, your actions will rise to meet it. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary?" High standards come from eliminating what is weak, unnecessary, and beneath you. When you raise your expectations, you naturally start making choices that align with a stronger version of yourself. If you spend the next 6 months refusing to settle for less than your best, you will transform in ways you never imagined. Your habits, your discipline, your results, everything will rise to meet your new level of expectation. The choice is simple. Keep accepting the same or demand more from yourself and watch your life change. Number 6. Small habits stack big. Ever stared at a mountain you want to climb? A fitter you, a sharper mind, a life less frayed and froze, thinking it's too steep, too vast, too far from where you stand? You aim big, swing hard, then sag, chasing a leap that leaves you winded. Not closer, just crashed, burned out by the rush, missing the quiet power of a single step. Small habits aren't crumbs, they're compound. A Stoic seed that psychology proves grows 1% a day into 180% in 6 months. A steady climb that turns whispers into roars without breaking your stride. Take Maya, 30, a receptionist. She'd eye a healthier life. "I'll overhaul it all," she'd vow, hitting the gym hard, juicing every meal. But a week in, her legs ached, her blender sat dusty, her spark snuffed by the sprint. She wasn't frail, her flurry failed her. Or see Vic, 42, a teacher. He'd dream of writing a book. "I'll crank out chapters," he'd plan, locking in late nights. But pages stalled, his eyes blurred, his pen dry from the dash, a tale untold by haste. He didn't lack words, his lunge lost them. Here's the gentle hum. Tiny moves don't just add, they multiply. A truth psychology pins. 1% better daily stacks to 180% in 6 months. A slope so slight it sticks. It's like a drip on stone, not a flood but a carve, shaping deep with soft taps. Maya's not sunk by fitness, her frenzy sinks her. Vic's not stopped by story, his rush stops him. You're not short till you shoot too sharp, and small habits, stoic and sure, build the peak. Marcus Aurelius murmured, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. One step, not a storm, and 6 months lifts you high." This is the quiet lift. Big swings snap, small ticks soar, a rhythm that rises when you don't race the clock. Maya's sweat didn't last. Her surge did. Vic's book didn't bloom, his blast did. You're not stalled till you storm the start, and steady threads the win. It's not about slow, it's about sure, stacking bricks that stay. Here's the easy nudge. Pick one small stitch and sew. Maya traded all in for "I'll walk." Strolled 10 minutes daily, sipped her tea, felt her glow by month 2. Vic swapped whole draft for one line, wrote a sentence each dawn, stacked his notes, saw his tale take shape. When the urge to overhaul stirs, pause. Ask, "What's my 1% today?" Say it calm, "I'll stack it." And picture the habit as a pebble, rolling soft that, not a boulder to lug. No leap needed, just one light tap and you're up. Maya's stride shines now, Vic's pages hum full. Small habits don't stall, they skyrocket, stoic and slow. Number 7, design a positive environment. Shape your surroundings, shape your life. Your environment is either working for you or against you. It is silently shaping your habits, your mindset, and your daily actions in ways you don't even realize. If you surround yourself with distractions, negativity, and low standards, you will struggle to stay disciplined, no matter how strong your willpower is. But if you intentionally create an environment that supports your growth, success becomes inevitable. Think about Nathan, who constantly felt unmotivated and stuck. His apartment was cluttered, his phone was filled with distracting apps, and his social circle consisted of people who spent more time complaining than improving. Every day, he woke up with good intentions, but by the end of the day, he had accomplished nothing. Then, he made one simple decision. He redesigned his environment. He decluttered his space, making it clean and organized. He deleted social media apps that wasted his time and replaced them with audiobooks and learning materials. He distanced himself from negative influences and started spending time with people who challenged and inspired him. Suddenly, motivation wasn't something he had to force. It came naturally because everything around him pushed him toward progress. Psychologists call this environmental design, the principle that if you change your surroundings, you can change your behavior without relying on willpower alone. Research shows that people who structure their environment for success are far more likely to achieve their goals. Want to read more? Keep books in visible places instead of your phone. Want to eat healthier? Fill your kitchen with nutritious foods instead of junk. Want to focus better? Remove distractions instead of relying on discipline to resist them. The key isn't to fight against bad habits, it's to make them impossible to fall into. The Stoics believed that external chaos leads to internal chaos. Seneca wrote, "The mind is never wrong, but it is set wrong by the way things appear." If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, your thoughts will reflect it. If you are surrounded by disorder, your actions will mirror it. Control your environment, and you will find it much easier to control yourself. Instead of forcing yourself to be disciplined every day, set up your surroundings so that discipline becomes the default. Make progress easy, make distractions difficult, and let your environment do half the work for you. Number 8. Embrace imperfection. Focus on what matters. Ever felt that gnaw in your gut, chasing a flawless you? A perfect day, a life with no loose ends, only to trip over every snag, every slip wearing you thin? You polish, you push, thinking perfect's the prize, but the mirror cracks anyway. Not free, just frayed, drained by a chase that leaves you blind to what's real, what's yours. Embracing your imperfections isn't surrender, it's Stoic steel, a pivot that frees you to pour your soul into what counts, not what shines. A 6-month shift from flawless to full. Take Sarah, 38, a designer. She'd sketch and stress over every line. It's gotta be perfect. She'd fret, tweaking pixels, chasing flawless drafts. But deadlines loomed. Her eyes burned, her best ideas buried under not good enough. She wasn't stalled by skill, her shine stalled her. Or see Tom, 51, a mechanic. He'd wrench and worry over every fix. No leaks, no flaws, he'd grunt, scrubbing tools spotless. But hours stretched, his kids waited, his craft sharp but his home dim, lost to a gleam that didn't glow. He didn't miss the mark, his mirror did. Here's the soft truth. Imperfection isn't your flaw, it's your fuel, a Stoic lens that cuts the clutter. What matters isn't spotless, it's steady. It's like a rough stone, not carved but carried, strong in its scars, not its sheen. Sarah's not sunk by drafts, her fuss sinks her. Tom's not trapped by tools, his tweak traps him. You're not less till you lust for more, and letting go of perfect light's what's true. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Flaws don't fade your fire. Focus does, and 6 months turns the raw into rich. This is the quiet turn. Perfect pulls you thin, purpose pulls you deep, a shift that steadies when you don't chase the gloss. Sarah's art didn't dull, her drive did. Tom's fix didn't fail, his fuss did. You're not whole till you hold what's real, and imperfect keeps you aimed. It's not about settling, it's about seeing, picking the pulse over the polish. Here's the calm cut, hug the rough, hone the core. Sarah swapped flawless now for feel it, drew what moved her, shipped it raw, found her flow. Tom traded spotless gear for home first, fixed what paid, hugged his kids, felt his hum. When the perfect itch bites, pause. Ask, what's my real win? Say it light, I'll aim true, and picture the flaw as a knot, not your noose. No scrub needed, just one clear pick and you're lit. Sarah's lines sing now, Tom's nights shine warm. Imperfection's not your cage, it's your Stoic crown. Number 9. Build disciplined habits and learn to enjoy them. Most people think discipline is about forcing yourself to do things you don't like. They believe it's painful, boring, and only meant for those with extreme willpower. But the truth is, discipline is not about suffering. It's about consistency. And when done right, even the hardest habits can become something you genuinely enjoy. Take Oliver, for example. He wanted to be more disciplined with exercise, but every time he tried working out, it felt like punishment. He dreaded the gym, forced himself through workouts, and hated every second of it. Naturally, he quit after a few weeks. Then he changed his approach. He stopped treating exercise as a chore and started making it a game. Instead of mindlessly lifting weights, he tracked his progress like a challenge, competing against himself every week. He experimented with different activities until he found one he actually enjoyed. Suddenly, discipline was no longer about suffering, it was about progress, and that made it fun. Then there's Sophia, who struggled with waking up early. She admired people who could rise before dawn and start their day strong. But every morning, she hit snooze until the last possible second. Instead of trying to force herself awake with willpower, she turned the process into a rewarding ritual. She prepared her favorite coffee the night before, created a peaceful morning playlist, and gave herself 30 minutes of quiet reading time before the chaos of the day began. Instead of seeing early mornings as a sacrifice, she saw them as a gift to herself. And from that shift, waking up early became effortless. How to make discipline enjoyable. The key to lasting discipline is changing how you see it. If you view it as suffering, you will resist it. But if you make it challenging, rewarding, and meaningful, your brain will actually crave it. Studies in behavioral psychology show that people stick to habits longer when they find small moments of pleasure in them. That doesn't mean discipline should always be easy, but it does mean you can reframe your habits so that they feel less like punishment and more like progress. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Love the discipline you impose on yourself." Instead of seeing discipline as a burden, they saw it as the path to freedom. Because once you learn to control your habits, you gain control over your entire life. So, instead of forcing discipline, make it something you can enjoy. Find the challenge, embrace the process, and turn even the hardest habits into something you look forward to. Because true discipline isn't about suffering, it's about mastery. Number 10. Cheer the small wins. Shed the excess. Ever trudged toward a goal? A leaner you, a clearer desk, a dream in reach, only to shrug off the tiny gains, bogged down by "not there yet" and a pile of old doubts that cling like damp clothes. You grind, you gloom, waiting for the big finish to smile, but the steps blur. The load grows, not lighter, just louder, a drag of dark thoughts and dead weight that dims your climb. Celebrating each small win isn't fluff. It's Stoic fuel, a lift that cuts the gloom and junk loose, a 6-month rhythm where you toast the now and trim what doesn't fit. Take Lena, 35, a florist. She'd chase a tidy shop. "I'll sort it all," she'd vow, hauling bins, eyeing a spotless floor. "But still messy," she'd mutter, ignoring the cleared shelf, her mood sour with not enough, her hands heavy with yesterday's wilt. She wasn't stalled by stems, her sulk stalled her. Or see Raj, 48, a clerk. He'd aim to shed pounds. "I'll drop 10, he'd plan, jogging daily, but too slow, he'd groan, brushing off a mile, his head thick with old guilt, stale snacks still in tow, a scale stuck by his scowl. He didn't lag from legs, his luggage did. Here's the gentle spark. Small wins aren't crumbs, they're kindling. A Stoic glow psychology backs. Cheering, each nudge keeps you lit, shedding the rest clears your lane. It's like pruning a vine. Snip the rot, savor the bud, thriving light, not lush. Lena's not sunk by mess, her mope sinks her. Raj is not stopped by steps, his slag stops him. You're not slow till you skip the small and haul the stale, and praising the inch while dropping the drag sets your pace. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Toast what grows, toss what glooms, and 6 months turns lean. This is the quiet lift. Big weights weigh you down, small cheers and clean cuts pull you up, a beat that hums when you don't hoard the heavy. Lena's shop didn't shine. Her shrug didn't. Raj's run didn't rise. His rue didn't. You're not free till you free the small and the spare, and this duo drives the climb. It's not about gloss, it's about grace. Lifting what works, losing what won't. Here's the easy bloom. Mark the bit, melt the muck. Lena swapped not yet for nice shelf. Smiled at one rack, binned old stems, felt her flow. Raj traded too little for good mile, grinned at his loop, ditched the chips, found his lift. When the gloom or glut grips, pause. Ask, "What's my win? What's my weight?" Say it calm, "I'll cheer and clear." And picture the small as a spark, the spare as smoke, not your stack. No strain needed, just one light nod, and you're loose. Lena's blooms pop now, Raj's stride swings free. Wins spark joy, cuts spark ease, your 6-month dance. Number 11, your choices shape your life. Ever paused at a crossroads, a quiet nudge to shift, a chance to tweak your day, only to shrug it off, thinking one skip, one later won't tilt the scales? You drift, you dodge, betting today's call doesn't carve tomorrow, but the hours stack, the path bends, not fixed, just forked, a future you didn't see slipping from a choice you didn't make. Decisions aren't just moments, they're your Stoic chisel, a steady hand that cuts your 6-month arc, because what you pick now isn't just today, it's the you you'll meet down the line. Take Sarah, 37, a nurse. She'd eye a calmer life. "I'll cut the rush," she'd think, clocking out late, craving peace. But not tonight, she'd sigh, scrolling instead, skipping the rest. Weeks blurred, her eyes sank, her calm a ghost in the glow, unmade by a maybe she let linger. She didn't lose to shifts, her sidestep lost her. Or Civic, 50 a driver, he'd mull a side gig. I'll save more, he'd muse, passing flyers. But tomorrow, he'd mutter, coasting the same route. Months rolled, his jar stayed light, his chance a shadow in the cab, unborn from a weight he wouldn't break. He didn't miss cash, his muse missed him. Here's the gentle carve. Your life isn't luck, it's your list, a Stoic truth psychology nods to. Today's choice isn't small, it's the seed for 6 months from now. It's like a river's turn, one bend, not a burst, guiding the flow you'll ride later. Sarah's not trapped by hours, her halt traps her. Vic's not stuck by wheels, his waver sticks him. You're not set till you settle for set, and deciding now crafts the clay. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Pick your move, not your pause, and 6 months molds your mark." This is the quiet cut. Waiting writes a blank. Choosing writes your book, a shape that sets when you don't shove it off. Sarah's peace didn't fade, her past did. Vic's gain didn't go, his gap did. You're not shaped till you shape the start, and action pens the page. It's not about force, it's about footing, picking the step that stays. Here's the easy grip. Choose today, chase your 6. Sarah swapped later for I'll rest, set her phone down, slept an hour, woke her calm. Vic traded soon for I'll stack, grabbed a fare, tucked a buck, built his base. When the weight whisper stirs, pause. Ask, what's my move now? Say it calm, I'll steer, and picture the dodge as dust, not your deed. No rush needed, just one firm pick, and you're on. Sarah's nights hum now, Vic's jar jingles full. Your call today isn't chance, it's your chisel, sharp and sure. Number 12, live with gratitude, the foundation of true positivity. Most people think that living positively means ignoring problems, forcing happiness, or pretending everything is fine when it isn't. But real positivity doesn't come from denying reality. It comes from choosing where to focus your energy. And the simplest way to shift your perspective is by practicing gratitude. Take Ethan, for example. He used to wake up every morning already feeling frustrated. The moment his alarm went off, he started thinking about how tired he was, how stressful work would be, and how much he had to do. His mind was wired to find problems before the day even started. But then, he made one simple change. Every morning, before getting out of bed, he wrote down 3 things he was grateful for. At first, it felt unnatural, but over time, something shifted. He started noticing the good in his life instead of just the bad. His brain, instead of looking for stress, started searching for appreciation. And that single habit completely changed his mindset. Now, consider Olivia. She always envied people who seemed effortlessly happy. No matter how much she achieved, it never felt like enough. She was always chasing the next thing, believing happiness was in the future. Then, she met an elderly woman who had lived through war, poverty, and unimaginable hardship. Olivia asked her how she stayed so positive despite everything, and the woman smiled and said, "Because I choose to be. Every day I wake up and say, I have another chance, and that is enough." That moment was a wake-up call. Olivia realized that happiness wasn't about what she had, it was about what she noticed. She started writing down small moments of gratitude daily, and for the first time in years, she felt truly content. The science of gratitude, neuroscience, has proven that gratitude physically rewires the brain. Studies from the University of California, Berkeley, found that people who practice gratitude consistently have lower stress, stronger immune systems, and higher overall happiness levels. Why? Because the brain cannot focus on gratitude and negativity at the same time. The more you train yourself to find the good, the less space you leave for stress and dissatisfaction. The Stoic perspective: find joy in what you already have. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." The Stoics believe that true peace comes from appreciating what you already have, instead of constantly chasing what you don't. No matter your situation, there's always something to be grateful for: the ability to breathe, to think, to experience life itself. Instead of waiting for something external to make you happy, train yourself to see what is already there. Every day, write down 3 things you are grateful for, big or small. The more you do this, the more you will realize that positivity isn't found in perfect circumstances. It is created by a grateful mind. Conclusion: your 6-month transformation awaits. Picture this. 6 months isn't just another chunk of time slipping by. It's your chance to turn the page, and these 12 steps, woven with Stoicism, are the ink. They're not vague hopes. They're a roadmap to take you from chaos to control, from a foggy blur to crystal clarity, from standing still to striding toward success. Every choice you've made here, pinning down what you can shape, stacking those small wins, builds a life that's yours, not just a shadow of someday. As Epictetus put it, you are not disturbed by things, but by the views you take of them. So why not seize these 6 months to tame your mind and move with purpose? You're not waiting for life to happen, you're writing it, one bold stroke at a time. Start today, grab a pen, jot down one goal for the next half year, lock it in, and take a single step right now. Feel that Stoic shift ignite inside you. If this stirs you, hit like to claim it, share it with someone stuck on pause, and sub to Victory Stoic to keep the flame alive. Drop "I begin today" in the comments with your 6-month dream. Let's hear it. Thanks for sticking with me. 6 months can remake you, with Stoicism steering the way. Don't wait, your future's ready for you to step into it.